Hi guys, welcome back to another DIY video. So this one is a little special, at least for me. Just a little backstory. We moved into this house a little over 2 years ago and everything in the kitchen came standard. Because I had problems with the builder, I didn't want to pay them any more money to put in upgrades like a full backsplash, different cabinet styles and such. So everything you see here came standard with the house. We have an open floor plan and we spend like 95% of our time in the kitchen when we're on the first floor. And it bothered me for a long time because it never felt like it was my kitchen. After a couple months of moving in, we added these faux beams that run from the kitchen out to the outdoor room, just to give the space a little dimension. If you haven't seen my faux beam video, click on the top right hand corner to check it out. I knew down the line I had to do something about this fucking kitchen, like I have been saying this forever, and it's now or never. And as you know, I always mock everything up before committing to a project, and I've been playing with the rendering in Photoshop for years, and I finally settled on a design. I have a pretty good sized kitchen. It's about 14 by 21 feet, big enough to be a gourmet kitchen with so much potential. And if it were up to me to redesign it from the ground up, it probably would not look like the finished product right now, but because I don't want to waste anything that is still operable, especially being just over 2 years old, so I want to make my design work with what I have. Starting with the kitchen island, this is a pretty big island. It's about 4 by 10 feet. Because of its size, I want to make it look sturdy and robust. I like my things big and thick, completely opposite of my skinny ass. So I concluded with a design where I built out this little overhang and closed off the side to make the countertop look like it is supported by 4 pillars. I actually started on the other side of the island first. The challenge was to fit a small microwave in this drawer in this cabinet space. I didn't have any use for these storage spaces, so fitting a microwave in here made the most sense. Because there's an outlet underneath the sink for the dishwasher, I can run a heavy-duty extension cord to power up the microwave. The reason a new microwave is going in this space is because I wanted to remove the current over the range microwave to put an actual hood there. I'm not going to lie that I wasn't nervous starting this project, but in my head the whole entire time I kept thinking, if these builders can fuck up my house, so can I. Okay, wait a minute, that doesn't sound good, but what I'm trying to say is if they're quote-unquote professional builders and this is the quality that they can give me, I can fucking do better. I'm obviously not a builder of any sort, but I Google research and use my common sense to keep pushing forward. I had a plan, but I knew going into the project that my plan was going to change here and there, and that's okay. That's how I will learn. To start the project, I first poured myself some whiskey, took a sip, let it simmer in my bloodstream, then I drove straight into a perfectly looking cabinet to start my cutting. Then I took my jigsaw to town. I cut enough space to fit a small microwave to see how it would look like in this space. Of course, I measured and planned everything first. After confirming that the microwave fits on this side, I went back to start work on the other side of the island. To not waste the overhang space, I wanted to incorporate wine racks. I actually was going to build the wine racks myself, but why create more work when I don't have to? So I got these wine racks from IKEA. How would anyone know it's from IKEA? They don't, and they won't. Because the space is fairly narrow, I did have to cut down the racks from 3 openings across to 2 openings. I then started building my frame out using 2x4 wood to close off the island. I used construction screws to hold everything together. I got all my materials from Lowe's. Once I have confirmation that the wine racks will fit, I attached the frame to the island. It was hard because I could not count on the existing island wall. The builder didn't do a good job with the drywall at all. You can visually see that it's not straight, so I had to keep going back and forth trying to level and even out everything I attached to the island. It was a lot of wood shims and leveling. Then I started building the base for the wine racks using the same 2x4s. Each side of the island will hold 12 bottles. I also created a divider because it will look better if you don't see through the island. I then painted the racks first because it's going to be in an enclosed space. It would be hard to paint after it's attached. I also painted the inside of the island. Once everything is attached, I use plywood to cover up to prepare for the exterior layer. For the inside seating area of the island, I knew that I'm going to add some kind of design texture to it, but before I can do that, I have to even out the wall. Like I said before, the builder did a bad job with the drywall, so to even out this part, I bought the cheapest, flattest panel I could find at Lowe's with enough thickness to meet the LVP flooring we have in that space. I then screw it in the panels to the studs, making sure they're flat and even, preparing them for the exterior layer. Like I said, I like them big and thick, so to create the pillars look, I used 1x6 common boards for the corners. Next step, I moved on to the microwave, and this part was a little challenging because there's a piece of wall sticking out, and of course it's not straight vertically, so I can depend on it to flatten out this side. To flatten out everything, I use a lot of wood shims and wood scraps to get it all even. I then use plywood to cover up everything, preparing for the exterior layer. For the outlet, I turn off the power, cut a hole in the plywood, and screwed the outlet back on top of the plywood. And that's it. I then put in my faux pillars for this side. I also covered up the old drawer and cabinet openings using 1/2-inch thick wood board. After completing everything, it still didn't give me that robust look that I was going for, so I changed up the design a little bit by adding a piece right underneath the island, connecting the two pillars to really tie in that sturdy look I wanted. Now that everything is in place and ready for the finishing layer, I went back and forth with the design of the island. I photoshopped many variations. I was like, should I do shiplap? Should I do slats? What's going to tie everything in with the house and look good with the existing countertop that's going to match the beams but also complement the hood that I haven't fucking built yet? It took me a while to settle with the vertical shiplap. Once I have the design down, time to go to work. I use the same 4x8 underlayment plywood that I used to shiplap in my other videos, and I'll put the link in the description. I ripped them into 4.5-inch wide planks with my table saw, cut them to size, and nailed them in. To give the microwave opening a finished look, I just cut wood pieces for trim and nailed them in around the frame. I then patch up all the nail holes, any cutting imperfection, nooks and crannies using wood fillers, and then sand them down flat before paint. And this is what it looks like finished right before paint. As you know, I hate painting. That's probably my least favorite part of all my DIY projects. Even though it's the last finishing step to finalize the project, with this one I had to paint, sand, then paint again and repeat for several layers because I wanted the pillars to have this smooth texture. And then when it comes down to paint, that was another important decision. I could play it safe and keep it white, but just me as a person, there has to be some kind of daring element. Therefore, I went with the tan color shiplap, and you know what? It's fucking paint. And I can always repaint it if I don't like it. So I was actually going to spray everything, then I realized I have 3 colors to work with, so I decided to just roll everything. After painting, I put the microwave in its place. And then this is what the island looks like finished. It might look easy from the video, but this project took over a couple of weeks. And you know, once I start something, I want to get it done as soon as I can. That's one of the reasons why I don't upload as often as I like. I do have a full-time job, so a lot of the time it's after hours and the weekends are the only times that I get to work on the project. As I said earlier, I could just play it safe and keep it all white, but I need a focal point, so I chose colors that I use throughout the house for the island. And you know what, down the line, I can always repaint if I change my mind. I'm honestly amazed at myself for completing this. You know I'm not a professional builder of any sort, but with a little bit of research, common sense, and willpower, I got it done. Like I said, if I were to redesign this whole entire kitchen from the ground up, it probably will not look like this finished product. But I'm also not wasteful, so I wanted a design that will work with what I have. Of course, I would love a waterfall edge island, but my kitchen is like 2.5 years old. It's still in great condition. Even if I wanted to switch out the countertops, it would have been several $1,000s to get the countertop redone. But once I do that, I have to get the new countertops for the other side as well. In the end, I am totally fine with the complete project. I put my finishing touches on it. Home is where you make it at. This is part 1 of the kitchen update. Stay tuned for part 2 where I'll show the complete kitchen. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and until the next time.